Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to be able to sit here in the studio and as part of the Radio Cayman C.I.Retro Talk Today special edition. Special thanks to Mr. Loxley Banks for, if he was in the museum, he'd be curating, and certainly producing and putting this all together. On this program, I'm going to give you a bird's eye view, sort of a word picture of the vast maritime heritage, which is underpinned and built, the firm foundation on which modern Cayman was built. And many would say it continues to be built. On this program, and the recorded narrative from over 15 years, and even stretching back sometimes 100 years ago, we're going to hear from the former Cayman Islands Seafarers Association President, Mr. Buddy Wood, and members, Mr. Hartman DaCosta, including Captain Paul Hurlston, the late Consuelo Ebanks, and Bob Soto. Mr. Loxley, as usual, you always assemble a wonderful entourage to join us.
Well, yes, and we've got one guest coming in now. Just have a seat right there, sir. And in the studio with us, of course, we have the Honourable Minister for Culture, Mr. Dwayne Seymour. Honourable Dwayne Seymour, welcome, sir.
Good afternoon.
Glad to have you here. A lot of culture moving across the airways today. And we have the President of the Cayman Seafarers Association, Mr. Denniston Tibbetts. Den, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
And we have what we believe to be the oldest seafarer still active, still fishing, still out there. I think he'd even probably be wrestling turtles if it was still if it was still available. And he's going to tell you his name now. Captain Orr, tell him your name.
My name is James Orrin Ebanks from West Bay.
And how old are you?
I'm 95 now.
Wow. He's 95, and of course, when did you make your first trip out to sea?
1935.
1935. So you guys out there with your computers, or if you don't need your computer, you can figure that one out in your head quickly. And we're expecting 2 more guests. Don't know whether they'll make it here, but we're going with what we got.
Maybe they're coming by the Rembro?
Well, and do we have one coming in? And we have another one coming in here now, so have a seat right there, sir.
Oi.
And we got to move along quickly, so just have a seat right in front of that microphone. Right in front of the microphone.
See that, boy? Come bearing gifts.
Well, how about that, huh?
Are you ready to start then?
We're ready. We're on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
you didn't invite Rupert then.
And this guest, of course, tell us your name there. Your name, sir? Your name?
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the program. Please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. And I know you
not really function so good. Yeah. Henry Ormond Morgan, that's my name. And one of the typical Caymanian West Bayers who has drunk a lot of salt water with my fellow men. So, yes, here today to, let's see if we can get some motivation into the maritime industry. And hopefully we'll be more successful than ever before. But as I see it, we have to really step on board, and hopefully some of the officials, especially government, will take a deep dive and come forward and see what they can do to really help this maritime situation.
Okay, well, we'll dive into that a little further down the line. So, and at this time, we want to remind you that this program is being brought to you by these fine sponsors: Health Service Station, serving West Bay and the wider Cayman Islands community for the past 5 decades. Arch and Godfrey Cayman Limited, a name that's synonymous with building in the Cayman Islands for over a century. Thompson Shipping, and you can call Thompson Shipping for all of your shipping needs. The Cayman Registry, a division of Macy, the Maritime Authority of the Cayman Islands, and of course by the Ministry of Culture, the Cayman Islands culture, that is. Let's wear it, let's celebrate it, and let's be proud of it. So, we're on our way. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll sail into our vast Cayman Islands maritime with the song Sailor. When we think of sailor or sailors or seamen, we know that is what brought us to where we are, the hardcore heart of our Cayman Islands maritime. And it started from way, way back. But we'll listen to the song now, and then we'll come back and with some narrative from way back of former seamen talking about the Cayman Islands maritime and our heritage.
Sailor, stop your wandering. Sailor, out at sea. Think now of your homeland and your love that waits patiently. Though your home is on the sea and your ship is your new lover, and the stars that's in the light are your friends throughout the night. And I know you find your thrills in the 7 seas you sail on. Just remember that she's lonesome and waits for your return. Though your home is on the sea and your ship is your new lover, and the stars that's in the light are your friends throughout the night. And I know you find your thrills in the 7 seas you sail on. Just remember that she's lonesome and waits for your return.
Okay. And good afternoon. Welcome back. Mr. Loxton, what is it? Was you singing that song, sir?
Not really, no, not really. But it fits right in with our maritime, sailor, 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 sailor. And, we're glad that the minister could come on with us for, I'm not sure how long he'll be able to stay, but he's here with us, and we know that he's very, very, very interested in Caymanian culture and getting it moved up some notches to where our wider Caymanian audience can be familiar with what our culture is, because I think if we don't know where we came from, then we're not going to know very well where we've been. And Minister, I think you might want to say
that. Yeah, you're exactly right, and good afternoon to the Cayman public. An esteemed guest I'm amongst this afternoon. I'm the junior here, so I'll take the back seat, and that's okay. And just glad to see, a young man like Captain Ori at 95 years old here, and we can all remember Mr. Loxley here in this very same radio station, bringing us those good tunes and news back in the day. Now retired and look happily retired. But, I'm proud to be a Caymanian, and I think that's why we're here. And, our history and our culture is so important. It's connected to everything we do. And I want to give my support. In fact, when I first got elected, I asked for the Ministry of Culture because I wanted to try to play a part. It's always been underfunded, and there's more that I thought could have been done with the Ministry of Culture that a lot of people wasn't looking at. So I'm here trying to make a difference in that ministry. And, my dad went to sea amongst all the other family members and friends around the area that I grew up in Gun Square, Bodden Town, Cumber Avenue. And, it was a pleasure to see them when they came back home, just to get the stories and ask what language you learn now and what kind of seas you met and what kind of challenges. I tell you the truth, I couldn't do it. And I just take my hat off to all the seamen. They sacrificed the real word. I mean, just like me, a politician, I'm sacrificing. But they're the real sacrifice for this country. And when we talk about government being the one to try to help with the seamen and foster history and culture and so forth, everyone here in this very country that is benefiting from the work that you all did should very much be contributing to this. And it's a shame when you hear that the Seamen's Association and the veterans need assistance and so forth. We should all be glad to pour into this, because this is the foundation that made this country what it is for everyone to be benefiting today. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for the sacrifice that you all made, back in the day, something that I wouldn't see myself. I see a little 10-foot swell, and I said, boy, those guys went through 50-foot swells, and some never made it back, and bless their heart. But, for Mr. Loxley, I thank you for taking this up. Me and you had some conversations, and this thing can get very deep, because I'm really passionate about, trying to preserve our culture and talk about the things. I mean, there's a lot that stems off from our fathers, because we took all the men out of our country and sent them overseas, and then we left the women here. I always tell people, we don't need anybody to manage our money. We had women here who were not educated. The men were not around. They sent the children to school. They managed the money. They built the homes, and I think we need to depend more on the women to deal with our finances because they always seem to get it right.
Well, on the program coming up later, we've got a segment that deals just with that, the ladies, the families, and so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. And if you stick around however long, we'll get you pretty deep into this thing this evening. But right now, I think we got to move along here, looking at our old clock. That's always our nemesis in these kind of live programs. And we'll move to our first narrative insert. These recorded narratives are done over 15 to 20 years ago and actually stretch back to over 100 years of information, because you think of the gentleman who we were talking to back 20 years ago, they were up in their 70s and 80s, and they were relating things from, 80, 90 years before that, what they heard from their grandfather. So in the studio there, I'm sure that Susan has got everything all queued up. And Susan, let's have that insert. Programs that will probably run, that we're going to be talking about the Cayman Islands maritime heritage. And that song, a part of that song that you just heard there, Sailor, depicts or relates to so much of what this Cayman Islands Maritime Heritage Series is all about. For without the Cayman Islands sailors, the heritage, well, we would not have achieved what we did. This program in the series will give you an overview of what the series is all about. the very important elements of the Cayman Islands maritime heritage. And our guests here on the program from the Seafarers Association, we have Mr. Buddy Wood, who is the president of the Seafarers Association. Buddy, welcome.
Thank you, Loxley. Nice to be here with you, sharing with all you folks out there. I hope you're listening and you'll enjoy what we have to say.
And also we have Captain Paul Hurlston with us. Captain, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And, of course, we have to include the ladies, so we got Consuelo Ebanks, and she's the PR person for the Seafarers Association. Consuelo, welcome.
Thank you, Loxley, for having us.
And Mr. Hartman da Costa, also a member of the Seafarers Association. Welcome, Hartman.
Thank you, Loxley. Good to be on the show, and I hope it'll continue to be a success.
Our Cayman Islands Maritime Heritage is made up of several major categories or elements or subjects, as we call them. And those various elements, each one of them contain some what we could call sub-elements. The major elements are the seafarers' wives and families, shipbuilding, the maritime economy, and of course the ship registry. And as we mentioned, each of those major elements have within themselves some sub-elements. On this program, we'll aim to give you an overview of the series, which we think will contain, we said, about 6 to 8 programs over the next 20 months or so. Because when we think of all of the contributions that the seafarers have made to the Cayman Islands development and the importance of our maritime heritage, we may find that we would have to put in another program or two. And we're going to have the first piece of music on the program, and we'll have music that sort of reflect the seafaring heritage. And we're going to get into the first piece of music by Rod Stewart, and it's simply called Sailing. And right after that, we'll come back to talk more about Cayman Islands maritime heritage.
I am sailing home again, across the sea. I am sailing stormy waters to be near you, to be free. I am flying, I am flying like a bird across the sky. I am flying, passing high clouds to be near you, to be free. I am
Rod Stewart there and Sailing, and here we go, a sailing into Cayman Islands maritime heritage. The first of those major elements that we'll take a brief look at is the seafarers. And before we get into that, we'll tell you also that we're hoping that Bob Soda can join us in the program here, probably in a little bit, from, I'm not sure whether he's done Florida Keys or where he's somewhere in Florida, and we're hoping that he'll be able to join us by the telephone in some of these discussions. But before we get into the seafarers, gentlemen and ladies, can we agree that our maritime heritage, that is the Cayman Islands maritime heritage, we think really began with turtlers, the turtling trade, the indigenous Caymanian, if we can call them that, at the time, in the turn of the century, that is the early part, I think, of the 17th century. And before that, there were British fishermen, I think, on Little Cayman fishing for turtle to supply the ships going back and forth. And also there was a settlement of Dutch turtlers. It seems the research that I've done on it that the Spaniards, even though I guess they sort of lay some claim to the Cayman Islands way back, never did really take much to turtling. So they kind of abandoned the turtling business and turned it over to the Dutch and the English. And then, of course, when the Cayman Islands began to be settled, well, those islanders jumped in there also. So I think a good place to start here is that our maritime heritage really began with the turtle. Captain Paul?
Oh, no doubt about it, because it wasn't anything else to do, and that's the own trade. And if I could say this, I believe the turtles were fished around the Cuban coast before they did go south to Nicaragua.
Yes.
And it's amazing, something that most people don't know, that those guys that went to Nicaragua, and I can remember the sailing ships leaving, we would never leave in the daytime. It was always in the night, in the late afternoon. I never knew why. Many years later, my old uncle told me that. Because they departed from Southwest Point when they could see the North Star. And they had a little stick which they called a knot. They cut a notch in that and got a line on the North Star. And they put that away when they were coming back north. They keep watching that every night. And when the North Star got in the line with that notch that they had cut in it, they knew they were in latitude with the island.
And buddy, that was before your time. Eh?
Oh, that's long before. But it's just amazing how they could think that, to think of that.
The ingenuity of our forefathers.
Yes.
Hartman, I don't believe that you spent any time out there on the at the Mosquito Keys, turtling, wrestling the 400-pound turtles.
No, really, I didn't have any knowledge of that whatsoever. In fact, the people from Savannah wasn't turtlers. We did the farming to keep the turtles. The food were turtles when they got home.
Buddy, did you ever?
No, I never did go turtling. I never went out to the Mosquito Keys to turtle at all. But we caught a lot of fish, and we used to go to when they're coming up, and in the turtle season when they come up to lay, we would always go along the beach in the night and walk the beach and turn a couple of turtles and get some eggs and get some turtle too, because it was real plentiful on our beach. Sometimes so one year you could have like 8 and 10 turtles come up, and then those old people tell us what time to go, so you know according to the moon what time that turtle is going to come up. And if she come up and you miss her, so many days after that she'll come back again. And they'll always return to the same place every year. So we didn't used to catch much of them, because it was other, better turtle to meet and to eat than the ones that was full with eggs and stuff. So it was more after the eggs than anything else. But I didn't do any turtling myself at all.
Well, to think of that's really where our maritime heritage began, turtling, and to think that someone or people would have the audacity to say, let's get rid of the turtle, it's really, really amazing. So hopefully that those that have those kind of ideas will put them in the back of their head. And,
This is a good time if you would allow me to say this, because that's our heritage turtle. from time I can remember, a long time more. Well, what I'm thinking, since it's prohibited now, and we got a turtle farm, we're raising turtles here, why can't we not take some of the juveniles and exchange them for some of the mature ones? You wouldn't be depleting any of it. You would just be exchanging them and catch the he's that don't breed. I believe that's an exchange. That's raise these to 40, 50 pounds that they could handle themselves and take them out there and let them go. Because I am sure the turtles is out there by the thousands now because the fishing ground hasn't extended and they're eating all the food, the grass there.
Well, that's what I think you hear it say, that out around the coast, the Nicaraguan coast, out there, Muscogee coast, that they're crawling over one another. I guess similar to what it was when Columbus first came by here in 1503.
It's 30 years or more since anybody fished out there, so they got to be there by the thousands.
And Hartman wants to jump in here.
Well, I didn't catch any turtle, but I sure wanted to keep it on the airplane. So don't make it off of that. How far does it be?
I support you on that.
There we go.
Locks, if I could just lay my bit of claim to turtling. While I didn't go myself, my great-grandfather, the late Richard Bush, not only built 4 sailing vessels, but sailed them himself to the Mosquito Keys to catch turtle.
That's right, Uncle. I refer to him as Uncle Dick. He built them, he rigged them, he sailed them. He was an industrial old man.
Well, we've heard a bit of narrative there about the turtle trade and how it was established from way, way back. And some of the comments there that those gentlemen made, we were listening to former Cayman Islands Seafarers President, Mr. Buddy Wood, Hartman da Costa, Captain Paul Hurson, and of course Consuelo Ebanks. And the comment that Captain Paul made about a notch-stick minister, I seen you were very intent on listening to that.
Yeah.
I mean, that took some ingenuity.
I always wondered how they did it.
And of course, I think Captain Paul mentioned the Cuban coast, and some of the earlier settlers in Cayman actually came across on turtle boats from the Cuban coast after being shipwrecked there, and that's how they came here. And some of them fell in love, got married, and just stayed here. And of course, I know Captain Ori. He used to wrestle a lot of those big turtles out around Muscogee, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Big ones.
Big ones.
Mm-hmm. Up to 500 pounds.
500 pounds.
Whoa.
Can you imagine trying to pull a 500-pound turtle over the gunnel of a big catboat?
Yes, sir.
And they would slap you to death if you weren't careful, right?
Yes, sir. Me and Captain Ali done that many times.
Many times. 500 pounds.
500 pounds.
How many of them would you have on a net, maybe a day?
Well, me and my cousin Jackie, Ebanks, and Captain Ali hauled 3 of them across the boat one time. 3 of them.
3 of them?
Yeah, the catboat was named Cement Mixer.
Boy, I tell you, the stories that's out there. But Cap, you got a lot of them. I think not too long from now, we're going to get you back in the studio here, just you and I, and we're going to let you just talk about your seaman's experience. Now, another thing that was mentioned in that narrative was, the turtle exchange. I mean, what do you think about that idea? Where Captain Paul said, why can't we exchange some of... I know the site is... all the stuff comes in, but, the concept, I think, was really sound.
Yeah, well, I try to eat turtle every week, so... You're not going to have no rejection from me.
Captain Orr, if you could get one of those big heaves from Boston Dennis and get a little bit of that.
Yes, sir.
With some good stuff, eh?
Good stuff. And sometime, we travel from Muscogee to Key West. that time you was in Miami.
Yeah.
And we have that stuff cooked up in Key West.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I used to go down to Key West when Adams was coming in. Jackie was cook.
Yes, sir.
I know he saw me.
You sure you're telling the truth about your age?
and you know, usually we left early in the morning to get down there first thing, daylight.
Yeah.
Got out of the car and started walking down to the Adams. Jackie say, "Oh Lord, man, lucky you got a car." And then he said his next sentence was, "We got to go up to Sloppy Joe's a little later."
Yeah,
which was one of the watering holes down in Key West, right? Yeah.
I think, if I could just interject here, I think the CITES convention that banned the turtle, I think while Captain Paul had a good idea, I think the CITES, the draft that they made up prohibited that.
Yeah. That all, But it's too bad that somewhere along the line we couldn't have pushed that idea, to really, because it's sound. I mean, all the ones that we and I'm sure all of us would like a little bit of that Moss and Dennis turtle.
Oh yeah,
old while.
Old while, yeah.
Most people call it the real one.
The real one, yes.
Yeah. That thing.
Yeah, well, right here, we got to do a little business and tell you about our 5 sponsors who help to bring you these Cayman Islands Talk Today programs. And, of course, they are Arch and Godfrey, Cayman Limited, the Ministry of Culture, the Cayman Registry, Cayman Islands Maritime Authority, and, of course, Health Service Station. And we've got to move on. As we said, that clock is our nemesis here. Armin, you got anything you want to say? 17 seconds, that's all you got?
In 17 seconds.
17 seconds, that's all.
Yeah, that just, I suppose...
Just getting started.
I would say just the introduction. My days going to sea, I was pushed out, had to play hardball, leaving the island 16 years and 10 months, going out into the unknown. And it's some experience that I will never forget. Yeah. And if I had the opportunity, I will do it like tomorrow. So, quite interesting. And I would say that anyone that hasn't had a number of years at sea, it is something in your life that you cannot give account of. Yeah? So.
Well, you got 15 seconds, 2 seconds left.
Oh, got 15 seconds, okay. So.
Oh, you used up 15, you only got 2 left.
Okay. You know what? I got to just wait till I get a longer time to have a little longer, because I got some interesting things to say.
Well, you might not be able to say them all today. As you say, we got the clock there. But, we got to move on here now to our second narrative, which dates back, as we said, between 15 and 20 years ago, with information that stretches back over.
Ready for the break?
Yes.
All right. Okay, let's lock this. So we go to the break, then we come back?
Yes.
All right. When we come back, please rejoin us. Stay tuned.
Minimize age spots, dull skin, and acne, and erase fine lines and deep wrinkles with a combination of a microdermabrasion facial and laser skin tightening treatment, followed by a glow mask and face massage for only $250, a savings of $200. That's 4 treatments for the price of 1. Only at Beyond Basics this February. Call 916-SKIN to book your appointment today.
Get your car washed with Diamond Auto Care. $20 car wash special. $30 for SUVs, interior and exterior. Call 928-7336. Diamond Auto Care will leave your car with a sparkle and shine. Only $20. Call 928-7336.
Spend a day at Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day, the 52nd Annual Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agriculture Pavilion in Lower Valley. Coming March 6th. Raffle tickets are now on sale, and for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes, including a garden package, iPhone, and staycation. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or caymanagriculture.ky.
Save time, don't stand in line. You can apply for or renew your trade and business license online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit dci.gov.ky and click on the Trade and Business Online application link. Now, you don't need to stand in line, take time out of your busy schedule, or try to find parking. You can apply for your trade and business license online. Visit dci.gov.ky today and save time for running your business.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination. Foodies, friends, and family are flocking to Miami for a variety of vacation experiences. From theater shows and concerts, theme parks and sports, to museums, fine dining, festivals, culture, spa, and more. And with regular Miami airfares now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, now is the time to plan your unique Miami getaway. For details and to book, call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Don't sleep on these savings at Tomlinson Furniture with King Silly mattresses for $475 and futons for $499 till supplies last. New arrivals every week. Tomlinson Furniture, corner of Hospital and Smith Road.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And a reminder here also that our program is being brought to you by these fine sponsors: Health Service Station in West Bay, and by Narch and Godfrey Cayman Limited, Thompson Shipping, and you can call Thompson Shipping for all your shipping needs, and by the Registry, a division of Macy, the Cayman Maritime Authority of the Cayman Islands, established in 1903, and after 115 years, still sailing strong. And by the Ministry of Culture, Cayman Islands culture, wear it, celebrate it, and love it. And we're going to move on now to our second narrative insert, which dates back, as we said, between 15 and 20 years ago, with information that stretches back over 100 years. We hope to be able to open the telephone lines, if we got time, later on in our program, so our valued listeners can contribute, but we may not have time, so we'll go to that next segment. Okay, as we said before, this program, the first program in the series of the series on our maritime heritage, we just aim to give you a little brief overview of what the series will contain. We said that when you think of seafarers, you think of turtlers, and of course you think of what we call the professional seamen. And I think both of these, or all three of these gentlemen that we have around the table with us here, I think, on this program, Mr. Buddy Wood, Captain Paul Hurlston, and Mr. Harmon DaCosta, was in that category of professional seamen. These were the ones that went out and sailed the tankers and the freighters and the cruise ships and the tugboats and whatever else there that floated on water. And of course, Consuela, I think, made a pretty good study of that whole thing some years back. And we can really give Consuela credit for keeping this whole maritime thing alive with the great production that she did with the Southwell years. Yeah. And Consuela, I think all of us is indebted to you for that, all the work that you put in with that.
You can give her a clap.
Yeah, great. Very good.
Okay, now we talk about the professional seamen, and I guess you could say that they could be broken down into, let's say, four main categories. That is the officers, you have the engineers, you have the what would call the general deckhands, and then you have the galley crew, and that galley crew was very very important crew on board.
It was important.
And of course that's where a lot of of the professional seamen, Cayman Islands professional seamen, got their start in the galley.
Oh yes, that is definitely because it started off in the galley. And if you were performing good, the chief engineer got an eye on you. He wants you down in the engine room, or the mate wants you on deck. So that's where they all started. Most of us started off. Unfortunately, I didn't start on the galley.
That's where I started.
To think of, let's say, some of the youth of today. Now, the galley was where you started out in the maritime career. Usually, that's where they put you just to see how you would work.
We refer to one as a greenhorn. You start in the galley, and most of the guys didn't want to stay there. They wanted to go to another department. And after their work was done in the night, in the evening time, they got permission to go to the engine room to learn how to be a fireman, or they got permission from the deck officer to the mate to go on deck up in the wheelhouse and to learn how to steer. So when the job came up, they already knew what to do.
And this was all on their own
their own
volition.
Yeah.
One of the, I guess you could call him great engineers, Cayman engineers, and I think all of you know him, Herbie Hides.
I know.
Yeah.
A while back, I visited him, and I was just talking with him about this whole thing. And because I asked him, I said, well, how did you get your start in it? And he went through the whole process. He said, I was in the galley. I think he was working for Swanee, and he said the chief engineer sort of took a liking to him and told him, I want you down in the engine room. And whether he created a position for him or any way that came up, he took him down the engine room. And of course, Herbie,
the rest is history.
he was one of the, I guess,
good diesel engineers.
Yeah, main engineers here in Cayman. So a lot of the professional seamen that went up through the ranks, they had their start in the galley. In fact, some of them really started back. And you get back to Turtling here on the quay, cooking for the turtle fishermen.
That's right.
I know there's one gentleman, captain, and I think Captain Paul, you probably are aware of him. Ebank, he lives down in Port Arthur. Howell Ebanks, Captain Howell. Some years ago, I did an interview with him on that Caymanians in Action series, and he said that he started out on the Jimson with Captain Joe in the galley, yes. And he wound up sailing captain for I think it was Texaco Line, which Texaco and all of the major oil companies many years ago had big tanker fleets, and so he went up through the ranks. And during some of these programs that were going to be dealing more in depth seafarers, we were hoping to connect up with some of those guys by telephone and hear a bit of their stories. And then we talk about the galley crew, and that, as we said before, is a very that's an important crew because they're the guys that kept you happy.
That's
fed.
Right.
That's right.
Yes, you could do with a bad sailor, but you must have a good cook.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess on those long voyages, you probably ate a lot of fish, huh? Or
No, we had all kind of food, good American food. When I sailed, it was all good American food. You had steaks, pork chops. You have a day for everything, just like a restaurant. You would have pork chops one day, steaks, and you would have rice and beans and curry goat. Well, never heard about curry goat on the ship.
Yeah.
You heard about curry goat on the ship. Never
No,
heard about it.
That's one thing I'm trying to resurrect. Some of those old stores, I got a couple of them that gave me the recipe, the menu. I hear me the recipe, the menus of it. And I'm trying to get it all together because I think that would go over good in our organization. The Lions has a breakfast. We could have a dinner, ship food.
Right, the Seafarers Association. And of course, there were many, I guess you'd call them maritime chefs, really guys, men who could really cook up a storm.
Oh, yes, I could name a couple because my dear friend in East End, Will Jackson, Percival Jackson, he was one of the best. And Captain Marvin, don't leave him out. He was many Franklin Smith. so many more.
Don't forget my buddy Ferdinand.
Ferdinand Seymour was there too. Nicky Godfrey. That's hundreds of them.
And I think probably, well, there was a lot. Many before them. I know they were Captain Raymond Ebanks, who was one of the top chefs for I think it was Mobil for Mobil Oil for a long time as one of their top chefs.
Yeah, it's so many of those old times. One comes to my mind, old Charlie Cook, and his brother Bank. They were all Willowaiker.
Yes. And Jackie,
that's right. Jackie was a good black Cleveland. Oh boy, he was a chef. They were all great.
And we're coming up right now to news time, and we'll come back and talk a little bit about what you just heard. So, Susan, news headlines.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Hilton announces the signing of an agreement for a new curio collection by Hilton Property in the Cayman Islands with NCB Group. Set to open in 2021, the new build 80-room hotel will usher in a new era of upper upscale accommodations focusing on sustainability and wellness, incorporating renewable and energy-efficient technologies throughout the property. In news elsewhere, cardinals attending Pope Francis' summit on preventing clergy sex abuse called Friday for a new culture of accountability in the Catholic Church to punish bishops and religious superiors when they fail to protect their flocks from predator priests. On the second day of Francis' extraordinary gathering of Catholic leaders, the debate shifted to how church leaders must acknowledge that decades of their own cover-ups, secrecy, and fear of scandal had only worsened the sex abuse crisis. House Democrats on Friday introduced a resolution to block the national emergency declaration that U.S. President Donald Trump issued to fund his long-sought wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi immediately announced that a vote would come on Tuesday. The move sets up a fight that could result in Trump's first veto. Actor Jussie Smollett's character on Empire will be removed from the final 2 episodes of the season in the wake of his arrest on charges that he staged a racist, anti-gay attack on himself last month in downtown Chicago, producers of the Fox TV show announced Friday. The announcement came a day after Smollett turned himself into police, appeared in court on a felony charge of disorderly conduct for allegedly filing a false police report, and left jail after posting bond. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Thinking of doing more to show your sweetheart you really care? Explore new roads together with the 2019 RAV4, Vamped Motors' #1 selling SUV. Save $2,000 off all 2019 RAV4s loaded with features you both will fall in love with, like maximum comfort and cargo space inside, eco mode for low fuel consumption, an audio system with USB and Bluetooth connectivity, vehicle stability and traction control to help you navigate wet roads, and advanced safety features to keep you and your loved ones safe. Do more for your sweetheart and save $2,000 now on the all-new 2019 RAV4 from Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
I'm Reverend John D. Jefferson on behalf of the Westland Holiness Church of West Bay, Georgetown, and Northside. We are proclaiming the good news of salvation by lifting up the banner of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs, and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Save time, don't stand in line. You can apply for or renew your trade and business license online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit dci.gov.ky and click on the Trade and Business Online application link. Now, you don't need to stand in line, take time out of your busy schedule, or try to find parking. You can apply for your trade and business license online. Visit dci.gov.ky today and save time for running your business.
Our children, they are the future of our country. So often, being a parent means making the tough decision now so that they can flourish and prosper.
The American Boarding School Fair will be visiting Cayman on Tuesday, February 26th at the National Gallery. With Cayman's growing and diverse global economy, this is the perfect opportunity to learn about the educational options available to Caymanian students, firsthand from visiting delegates.
There is no charge to attend. You have nothing to lose and potentially everything to gain. With specialized programs and a focus on individuals with learning differences, these leading institutions provide a well-rounded education and international experience.
Yes, the boarding school fair is free to attend for all parents and students at the National Gallery on February 26th from 5 to 7 p.m. For more information, visit the admissions page at www.gow.org or call 1-716-652-3450. That's 1-716-652-3450.
Whether you're planning your child's next birthday party or simply looking for a social night out, look no further than Kingpin Bowling at King Sports Center.
With a range of packages and specials for bowling parties, socials, and corporate team building, Kingpin Bowling offers what no one else can. The only bowling alley in Cayman. And it's indoor fun, which means no mosquitoes, AC, and don't forget about their bowling bar. Book your bowling lanes today. Call 946-BOWL. That's 946-2495. Email kingpinbowling@candw.ky. For more information, visit their website, www.kingsportscenter.com.
King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
And we're back on live here on Talk Today, C.I.Retro. And in that last narrative segment that we heard, those old salties, and not only young salties and old salties, but in the studio, we said it at the top of the program, we have what we believe to be the oldest, still active Cayman Islands seafarer, and we believe the youngest, or one of the younger ones. Dunstan, I think Ormond might fall in that category.
Yeah, I think so. He doesn't like to tell people his age, though.
I know, but yeah, I think he's one of the younger Cayman Islands active seafarers that still around, and those guys mentioned about the galley crew. And Dunstan, did you start out in the galley, or you?
No, I started out on deck as an ordinary seaman.
Ordinary seaman.
I was fortunate.
Yeah.
Of course, in my day, I shipped out of Jamaica because, we grew up in Jamaica.
Oh, yes.
And my dad, I guess he pulled some strings or something because, he shipped out of Jamaica too with Mr. Cox, you remember? Miss Catherine?
Yes. Travel agency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so how many years did you sail?
Well, I didn't sail long enough. I wanted to go the whole 10 years, but then I got in an accident on one of the ships, and that cut my career short. I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps, to be a captain and all that sort of thing, but it didn't work out, so I did about 5 years.
Yeah. I think a lot of youngsters growing up in my era, and I guess your era, you're a little bit after me, that was one of the aspirations that you can occupy some position on that bridge with that high pressure cap and the white cap, and be a captain.
Yeah, Dad was a very good example for us, and me being the eldest of 3 boys, that was my ambition really. I had all the books and all that I bought in Philadelphia. But it wasn't in the books, like I said, so here I am. But I'm still playing my role as the Seafarers president. You know?
Right. And you mentioned books, and in that narrative that we heard, that was mentioned how the guys in the galley would study the books, and at night go in the engine room or go on the bridge and learn how to steer and learn how to. I would think most of them probably knew a little bit about reading the compass by the time they ventured out to sea, but maybe not. And
well, I was fortunate because Dad taught me how to use the sextant and all that, but starting out as an ordinary seaman, I too took it on myself to go up in my spare time and learn how to steer, and I got promoted after 4 months as a quartermaster. So.
There you go. I mean, self education, and I think that's an element that may be lacking today in our youth.
Definitely so, and well, most of my history that I got about my father sailing was from Captain Paul Hurston, and I thank him very much. I hope he's listening. And likewise about him steering, being a quartermaster, and I think lookout. I don't know exactly what that position was, but he had.
When you're a quartermaster in the nighttime,
yes,
you spend 1 hour steering, and the other your watch partner would be on the forecastle of the lookout,
right.
And then you alternated it.
Oh, okay, so that's how it worked.
But during the day they had the gyro, so that it was fine in the day, but in the night you had to work. But during the day when you ran the watch, all of us would work on deck, chipping,
right.
painting.
Chipping rust and painting, that was...
Oh, I don't know yet if I have all the rust out of my eyes, cause going under those crevices there, man, something else.
Orman, you went out to sea very early. Did you start out in the galley?
Actually, I did, in the galley, and I remember quite keenly Mr. Alfred Ebanks, Georgetown. Young guy called Nosey, that's his pet name.
Yeah.
Tyning, Roy Dias, Paul Kyver from West Bay, Otis Christian, Cuman Brack, Boogie from Northside, Captain Dalzon Jimmy, a whole Joram. But I didn't meet them until I got on board the boat.
Oh, okay.
So I left here, flew to Miami to New York, and I was like in no man's land until I met up with these guys. And I had to say to myself, what am I doing here? Okay? Mm-hmm. And when the package all came together, all these guys, it was such a, it was like a reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they took me on board, and I was in the galley department for about 8 months. And then I had an opportunity to go BR and storeroom keeper. And then I went, after about 14 months, I decided to have a little trial into the engine room. I stayed there about 8 months, oiler, fireman sometimes, because you had a lot of Germans, Scandinavian people. That's who I dealt with, and they dealt with me. And I must say that as tough as we might say where the Germans was, highly disciplined. I remember when I was in BR, your bed had to be precisely on the same side for the captain, not one side of the ship or the seat overlapping the other side. Anything that was pressed, you would say it came from the one of the cleaners, man. There was things to remember, highly disciplined. When you had fire in boat drill, let me tell you, when they called you to that station, you better be ready, because that was some serious things. Not to mention anyone been into the North Atlantic. That's a horse of a different color, especially in the winter months.
Well, yes, I know the seamen, the experiences that they had, and that's really what built the foundation here that we're so I guess what you could say, so successfully kept building on. But that old clock on the wall still is a nemesis as long as we go along. So we're going to move. We're going to move on to our next narrative segment here on C.I.Retro Talk Today special presentation. And Susan, if you've got that one up, this is the third narrative, and this one is about 12 minutes long. And we'll come back and talk a little bit about what we hear in that one.
As I said, we're glad that you could join us, and we're just talking a bit about the seafarers and all that they've done for the island. And while we got you on here, what we'd like to do is talk a little bit about the shipbuilding, because I know that's an aspect that you have spent a lot of time studying. And the shipbuilding industry in the Cayman Islands was, I guess, a real prominent one in its heyday with the Archies and Mr. Rail and the Bawdens and a lot of other ones who worked on it.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the culture when I grew up there in the 30s. That's all we had was sailing ships and iron men to man them. And we had a shipyard right next door to where I lived, to Rail Bawden, and he built all kinds of schooners there and yachts. And then out Little Georgetown next to the port, they built, the Simboko and Leda Sleda and those out there. And then the Arches had their shipyard down near where the Hard Rock Cafe is now. And I used to go to launches there when we were kids. It was a holiday. The shipbuilders would butcher a cow, and they would have roast beef and breadfruit and all kinds of tropical vegetables. And it was a holiday. People came from all over the island to pull on the ropes because there was no mechanical power to launch the ships. So everything was done with block and tackles, and they'd man anchor out in the day, and everybody grabbed on a rope. Hundreds of people pulled on the ropes and launched them off. And it was a really exciting time for us. It was the only thing we knew about the contact with the outside world was by our sailing ships, and went to Tampa and Jamaica and all over Central America. And the turtle fishermen and all the young men growing up, that's the only thing they could look forward to doing, was either working in the shipyards. There was a few jobs there for them. And it mostly was a family thing. And then they would go on the turtle boats and cargo boats, and that was a way of life. I guess I had two brothers who was on a lobster boat, and it was lost in 1940. One was 16 years old, the other one was 22, I think. And I guess the war hadn't came along. We would have still been turtle fishing during the war, and I probably would have wound up on one of the old sailing vessels myself. But anyway, I did leave the man on a sailing ship, the Arbutus, after the war was just when I got out of service. And I went to the States in the beginning of 1945. And by then, they were start selling off all the sailing ships and converting them to diesel. So it was the end of a very exciting era in the Cayman Islands.
Bob, when we talk about shipbuilding, of course, back in those days, they didn't have all of the computers and models and the computer graphics to go by. They'd start off with a little, I guess, 18-inch model boat, model of what they wanted to build.
Yeah, well, it took a special skill to transfer the ships and those boats onto the ribs and to get they did such a beautiful job, and they took such pride in their work that the sailing ships and turtle boats that were built like yachts were yachtsman-like workmanship on those boats, and it's a lost art because those people took such pride in their shipbuilding and furniture building, and using all native wood there for ribs, and they imported it Georgia longleaf oil of pine, they called it, for the planking. They used to use like 3-inch planking, 4-inch planking, and it took a lot of skill to bend those planks of the shape of the hull, and they were just beautiful, graceful sailing boats. And part of history that I'm very interested in preserving that part of our culture and pass it on to generations, because the young people growing up today don't know anything about things, and I would like to see some documentary done, video from all the old pictures that are laying around. It could be put on a video for showing in the schools, and the Catboat Club is making a great contribution to that. We're trying to revive that and get some financial support to replace or restore the old catboat club there by the lobster pot, and hopefully that will come about soon with the cooperation of the government and some pledges from some interested parties in the island who would like to donate money to restore the building, and we need that badly. And it's a disgrace sitting there the way it is. And I don't know what's holding up the government giving a letter of intent or some commitment, long-term lease on the building so that we could have something to show people who want to donate money to do that.
Yeah, well, I know, Bob, you were very much involved with the Maritime Foundation, and I think that I know we owe you a great debt for what you've done with that statue that you've got down in Hero Square there, because that's a classic pose, I guess, from our maritime heritage.
That is right. I'm very proud of that accomplishment. It took us almost 5 years to put it all together and to raise the funds. And I still owe some money on the plaque, on the granite plaque. It's like $5,000 outstanding on that. I had to borrow money from somebody to pay that off, and I had to pledge from one of the departments in government to reimburse me for that, but I haven't done it yet. I don't know what the problem is. I think they got a new budget now, maybe to have something in that so I could clear that up. And then there's other things I would like to see done there, but I would like to see some younger people get involved in this and take an interest and take on some of these undertakings. I was talking to some of the people there in the Seafarers Association, and they were interested in building a statue to the wives and children of the lost seamen, and I think that would be a wonderful thing to have a woman with a child in her arm and one standing alongside of her, like with her hand over her brow, looking out to see when her husband is coming back, or their loved ones, and that would be a compliment. The statue out in the Heroes Park, maybe if they could get together and raise some funds and do that, it would be a wonderful project for that organization, and I would help any way I can. Of course, I'm exhausted with trying to raise funds because that was a very hard thing to do, and I'm not a person that like to go around begging people for money, but I had some generous donors who, like the Dodge and Esso and Texaco and Bernard Watler and Noel Bodden and many others who gave generous contributions to bring that to conclusion there.
Bob, we want to thank you for joining us here on the program, and we look forward to seeing you